All right, so today I want to start a new format here with those videos. I will edit this video later and make it into a more concise tutorial, but I thought that as I make it, it's cool to be live on YouTube, and if there's any comments or anybody wants to ask anything, just drop a comment, and it's kind of a cool way to, as I make this content, the tutorial for later, it's kind of cool to hang out here and just do it live. And there can be some more value as well in the edited content later on, because since I'll be checking out comments or any feedback, if anything wasn't clear, I can explain it again or come up with a different analogy or a different technique that's maybe more clearly showing the concept. So I'm looking at my phone because I have basically a kind of like a checklist of things that I want to cover, so I don't go too, off the main track here. All right, first of all, then, yeah. Also, I might talk a little bit weird sometimes because I want to make those videos edited later. So sometimes I might repeat something or just sound a little bit like a broken record, but that's why, because I want to edit those videos later and have a nice, clear explanation for everything. Okay, so in this video, we will talk about panning beyond the standard pan pod that's in your DAW. There is other ways to pan and to play with the panorama or the stereo of your music, because that's what panning basically means. It's creating the panorama, creating the things that aren't in the center, but they are either on the left, on the right, or sort of like spread a little bit to the left and like to the center, or like completely spread. There's a ton of different ways to pan things, and ultimately you want to use those tools, those different techniques, to help the song and help the arrangement. So you can pan things, for instance, you can pan things wider in the choruses and keep things more narrow in the verses, or you can use contrast in a way that, for example, everything would be very mono, very in the center, and then one element would really stick out because it would be panned hard right, like completely on the right side. So there is different ways how you can use panning with helping your track and helping the storytelling and the song in the end. All right. Now let's go through different techniques and different plugins for panning. So let's find some cool drum loop here. Okay, amazing. Oh, I need to make sure that because my camera is might be covering some of the things. The most standard panning is in your DAW. Every DAW has a pan pod which can go left or right, or just somewhere in between. That's completely left, and that's completely right. What was this plugin called? There was this other plugin from DMG. I should just look DMG, it's gonna show up. yeah, track control. Now, a slightly more advanced way of panning is with a plugin like the DMG Audio Track Control. You can pan the left and the right channels separately. So what it basically means, if I have an audio track that's stereo, I have a left channel and a right channel. And I can control if the left channel is actually going to the left side or is it maybe going to the center. And I can control individually the left and the right channels. So that gives me some more control and more possibilities than the regular pan part in the DAW. Check this out. So if I take just the left side of this drum loop, and I can manipulate just the left side or just the right side. Or I can swap them. I can move the left completely to the right and the right completely to the left. Or I can put them both in the center. So that gives me some more possibilities than just a simple pan pod that's in most DAWs, which just has one control for left and for right. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the next possibility here. How are we doing in the chat? I think the next technique I want to mention is the say it better, say it like more exciting. Be excited about this stuff. It's exciting. Just mention. Another really cool technique is the pan pot. It's a really cool. Oh wait, it's not a technique. It's a plugin. I'm a dummy. Another really cool way is to use the pan pot from Good Hertz. I love this plugin. It's basically a more advanced more advanced pan pot with some controls other than just changing the level, because so far what we've covered is basically changing the level between left and right channels, like how the signal is routed to left or right, whether it's attenuated or boosted or on either side. But with pan pot, you have the control over the level, but also you have control over the delay. So if I pan to the left, it will be delayed. It will change the spectral, so changing the frequencies and changing the phase. And it sounds different than the level itself. If I turn the level all the way down and just have the delay up, and then I will pan it gradually to the left. So it feels more on the left side, especially if you're on the headphones or nice speakers. But if you look at the meter here, it looks pretty much as it was in the center. So that's interesting. Now let's see the spectral. Okay, so if you look on the meter here, it definitely looks like it's more on the left. But at the same time, it's sounding different than the level. Compared to the level, the spectral, it just has a different sound to it. And the phase, I find the phase works really good if it's combined with some other, let's try the delay and the phase. And the spectral. With this plugin, honestly, I keep level all the way down typically and just play with the delay, spectral, and phase, because that gets me the most interesting results. Okay, let me check my notes here. Oh yeah, this plugin, the Pana. The next plugin I want to cover is the Pana by Clefgard. I hope I'm pronouncing this name right. Clefgard? Pana. Okay, so that's another really cool way of panning, and that's also like beyond the typical, just the level, like the. You know what? Let me just take it. Let me just try it again. The next plugin I want to cover is Pana by Clefgard. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this company name right, Clefgard. And it's a really cool plugin for panning and for creating space and for moving stuff in a more natural way to either left or right or somewhere in the panorama. Check this out. And now with the roll off, it's changing the frequencies, so I can control how it's affecting the frequencies. And I can also control the crossover, so that's another way of controlling the frequencies. And then the size control is also really cool. It's pretty subtle, but it just controls the perception of the size, basically. Of the size of the space that we're hearing. Okay, that was a really cool plugin. Okay, now let's go. I also want to mention this plugin, which is a little bit not just about panning, but it's sort of related because it's controlling the width and the placement of things in the stereo field. So I think it's worth mentioning. And what it does, I like to keep it, when I'm playing with it, I like to keep it 100% wet. So I turn off the dry. And then I can control the size. It looks like it's sort of creating the perception like if I had speakers playing. The feedback is a really cool. It's a really cool sound here. Then the LFO is also interesting. It can get pretty extreme if you turn it like fast and. Yeah, this is really cool. It's like way like beyond the panning that we're talking about today. So I won't talk too much about that. But what's cool here, we have this tilt and the pan. So tilt is different than pan. And also pan is kind of different than a typical pan either. And the width, but if I keep the width on 0%, and then when I move the pan, that's really interesting. And then let's combine a little bit of the dry signal. So yeah, that's very cool plugin as well to play with the space and the placement and the stereo field. And the last plugin I wanted to cover, which goes also beyond the classical traditional panning, is the Brainworx Stereo Maker. The stereo expansion is really amazing. Like it's mono compatible, so it's really safe to push it as wide as you want, and like you don't have to worry that it's not going to sound good in mono because it's 100% mono compatible. And I can actually test it if I take the utility plugin from Ableton here, and I sum to mono. Now I can push this stereo as far as I want. It sounds exactly the same, so it's really safe to use this plugin if you're worried about the mono compatibility. I find that the stereo expansion works really good around 100. That's without it. And now that's with the plugin. You can push it more too. For this particular drum loop, it actually sounds pretty cool when it's a little bit higher. And then this part here, it's either tilt or pan. So pan, it's kind of a traditional pan, but with the tilt, this is interesting. Because it definitely moves the sound to the left or to the right, but it's like not a typical panning. So it's doing something else there, which is sounding really interesting. Okay. Conclusion. Let's do some conclusion here. In conclusion, remember to use those different techniques with all different kinds of sounds. Like you want to use them on drums, on synths, keys, guitars, on vocals, and then you even want to try them on some low-end instruments like the kick drum or the bass. You might want to try panning those as well and get some interesting sounds this way. And as with all production techniques, always it's worth remembering that it has to serve the arrangement, it has to serve the song and the storytelling, and it has to work for the song. So it's I think that the playing with the sounds in the stereo field and with the width of sounds is an amazing way to create excitement and just help the song really become the best version that it possibly could be. All right, now I'm gonna say something for a goodbye. I'm just pretty new to it, still to those making videos. All right. Oh, right. All right. What the fuck? Thanks for watching, and what? I'm so bad at this. Still figuring things out still every day. Thanks for watching, and in the description below there is links if you want to connect with me on Instagram, and I hope to hear from you in the comments. Take care, everyone. All right, cool. That was cool. And now I also was thinking that it might be nice to do a little bit sort of like a summary of what I was just saying at the end of each video. And I will do this summary in sort of like very bite-sized, short... Oh. Started recording accidentally. Basically in like bite-sized shorts that I can use for either Reels or Shorts on YouTube or TikTok. So that's what I want to do at the end of each stream. To have some... Wait, what the fuck is showing my news? Okay. So for these shorts, I will especially focus on the individual plugins and techniques. Okay. Okay, let me think. Let's do it. To create width in your tracks and help the arrangement by having an interesting stuff happening in your panorama. So basically your left and right or center or anywhere in between. the most traditional way to do it is to use the pan control or pan pod in your DAW. So here in Ableton, I can move it from left to right. And what it basically does, it's moving all the audio to the right. So all the stuff that is on the left, that would be on the left, is completely attenuated. And everything is moved to the right or to the left. It's sort of the most traditional way of panning. Okay. Wait, what's this plugin called? Audio what? Audio... Wait, no, it's not Plugin Lions. It is... Where the fuck is it? Where the fuck is it? Audio... Where is it? DMG Audio Track Control. Why am I thinking Audio Track? It's Track Control. A slightly more advanced way of panning things is to have a separate control for the left side and for the right side. So this way I can control whether the left is going actually to the left, or is it going to the center, or is it going to the right maybe. And same for the left channel, I can control whether it's actually going to the right, or it's going to the left, or anywhere in between. Check this out. So there's way more possibilities with having separate controls for the left side and the right side. Okay, pretty good. So far, the most traditional way of panning stuff in the panorama in the left and right is with the level. So it's basically how loud things are on the left or on the right, and how quiet they are. If you pan to the left, basically everything is on the left, and everything on the right will be attenuated. But now we can also play with other controls that make a difference between the left and the right channels. So the level is one of them, and that's the most traditional one. But we can also have delay. So now the left will be slightly bit delayed. But it's also created in such a way that's actually creating the perception that things are moved to the left. We can also have spectral, which is basically making the stuff on the left brighter. But it's also in a very kind of traditional, like natural way. So it's not... wait, you know what? I'm kind of butchering how this plugin works. You know what, let me try it again. The most traditional way of panning things in the panorama and the stereo field is with the level. So basically, if I move things all the way to the right, the level is full on the right side, but it's completely muted on the left side. So everything is just completely on the right side. But there is other possibilities with a plugin like the Pan Pod from Goodhertz. You can also control the delay. So that's very interesting because it sounds like the sound is moved to the right side, but at the same time, it's not because of the level. It's about delaying the signal in such a way that it feels like it's more to the right. Then you have spectral. So that's basically something like an EQ, but it's sounding very natural, and it makes things on the right sound like they are on the right, if I pan it to the right. And then the phase, which I find on this plugin, it works really well with combination with either delay or with spectral. So that's changing the phase of the signal. It's just, this plugin gives you so much possibilities with shaping the stereo, with how things are panned in ways that aren't just limited to the level. Okay, that was a way of doing it, but I don't know if it was the best way. I'm kind of I'm learning every day. I'm a student of life. Okay. Then with a plugin like Pana from ClefGuard, you can make things pan in a very natural way. So it's some combination of level, EQ, delay, phasing, and it's really cool what it does. So check this out. You can control the frequencies. It's really cool. It sounds very natural, and it's kind of optimized for how we perceive the left and right. Okay, cool. Let's go to the Fiddler audio stage. Yes. And now to move even like beyond the traditional panning left to right. Oh wow, that was loud. Okay, some roommates doing stuff. Okay, cool. Now to move even beyond this. Actually, why even beyond? And now with the plugin, like the stage from Fiddler Audio, you can shape the panorama and the space and the width of the sound even more. Check this out. I like to turn the dry off when I set the controls. So I will tell the dry. Oh shoot. Okay, let's try that again. And now with the plugin like Stage from Fiddler Audio, you can really manipulate the stereo width and the space in the track. I will turn the dry off for setting the controls, and I like to have this around 100. I mean, actually around 0%. And then you can play with this. Basically, the perception of the width and the room and the space. And that's what's really cool is this tilt and pan, how they work. It's really so many possibilities with shaping the panorama or the width of your sound. Okay, and now let's go to the Stereo Maker. Really cool plugin. And now let's go. I'm gonna do it with energy. High energy, always. Okay. And now let's go to the Stereo Maker from Brainworks. Another amazing plugin for manipulating the stereo width. And also what's really cool about it, it's completely 100% mono compatible. So if you're worrying about losing some stuff when your mix is sound to mono, you don't have to worry about it with Stereo Maker, because check this out. Mono on. It sounds exactly the same. So it's 100% mono compatible. And it's pretty simple controls, especially like this is an important control, the stereo expansion. On this drum loop, it kind of actually sounds cool when it's turned a little bit higher. And then this tilt, which can be set to either tilt or pan. And I find that the tilt is actually really interesting. So it sounds like I'm moving things in the left to right, but like it doesn't sound like a traditional pan. Okay. Yeah, that was it. That was pretty much everything I wanted to cover today. So yeah, that was amazing. All right. I will get going, and thank you for your time. Oh yeah, and of course, like in the description there is like links if you want to connect with me, talk about anything, send me music to check out, or yeah, hope to hear from you, and